Okay, so we did this part one, and then the next day I did part two, but I deleted the whole thing because I'm going through changes. And I just started to kind of, not that I was just starting to change things, and I didn't know what I really wanted or where I was at, to be honest with you. But that was a couple of days ago. So I have been mixing this song for 3 days, but we're good now. And I'll go through a little bit of what, and this is the first song I'm mixing of like a full 11 song record. So, and this is the new one with the SSL UC1. I've got the native plugin across the board. I'm going to go through. I'm just going to kind of go. Well, I'll play a little bit of this so you can hear it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and then there you go.
See the heights in the skies, hear the waves that you lie to me. Hidden fears, I see them clear. See the cries with no tears. It's the makeshift mischief. Let's go inside. I see you the morning after. Now let's go and let's ride the marvelous matters. I said now let's go inside. Take away all the chatter. Let's go and let's climb. I see you the morning after. Come and watch it go. I live the high, felt the low. Came to play, stay to leave. A shattered glass, living a dream. It's the holy water imprint. Let's go inside. I see you the morning after. Now let's go.
All right, so it kind of gives you an idea of the tune. I've been listening to this song a lot. It'll be nice to not listen to this song every day and move on to other songs. There's a whole bunch of tunes on this record, and we were listening to a lot of kind of, I don't know, Jack White and Wolf Mother and Jet and some other bands like that, kind of going for that. I bought a couple of fuzz pedals for this record. And this is, again, Scooter Page, one of my dearest buddies, too. Not just working on music, but we're homies. So, and he lives in Los Angeles, so we've been doing this back and forth LA, Nashville thing. But, so I'm going to go through a little bit of what I did and what's different. So kind of the journey of kind of chasing to get to the next level and listening to like a lot of Serban Gane mixes. One in particular, Disarray by Lifehouse, and Randy Staub, but more like kind of like listening to the Serban thing and like just the way it sounds and the spacing and So I ended up kind of chatting with a few people that are hip to what he's doing, and they gave me some tips, and it really did help, and it made me. Once I realized it was a cool idea, I kind of did some final tweaks on the template. One of the things that they talked about was bass and stereo, and I could definitely hear that on some of his mixes, like almost like a little bit of like pitch shift drift in the bass, not the thought of it just being kind of straight up the middle, because the way I used to always think about mixing was like, like vocal up the middle, kick up the middle, snare up the middle, bass up the middle. And, I'm kind of learning this as I go, but I experimented with this. I switched the bass to stereo, and I didn't even put modulation on it because we were transitioning from bass up the middle, and I just sent it with it widened, which it wasn't a big difference, but there was a difference because I didn't want to. Sometimes I've gotten mixes where the client's like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to work on a few more things," and then I go and just like go crazy, and then send them this new one that I'm so proud of, and they're like, "I don't know, man. I kind of like." That's actually what happened. Like I sent Scooter my mix my mix 2 last night, and he's like, "You know what, man, 2's cool, but there was something about 1 that I liked, or 1.1." And I was like, well, because I was messing with this stereo imaging and widening things, and when you widen things, it kind of throws a little bit of the balance of the vocals off. So I said I did a rebalance, but keep in mind I was on this thing all day, so I was kind of making these decisions at the end of the day. So maybe it's cool. It's just what I did. Like I just didn't finish it off enough. So. But I said, you know what? All right, disregard that. I want to go back to mix 1.1, and I want to recreate it. And the reason is what I did different. Mix 1.1 had the GML 8200 hardware on it, the EQ. And I'm listening to 1.1, and then I'm going back to the mixes that I widened, and I was like, okay. There were cool things about the widened mixes, but 1.1 definitely had a thing about it, and it wasn't just like the widening. I don't know. It was something different. So I went and put every plugin imaginable on this master bus. Everything, UAD massive passive, the back EQ. The Fab Filter EQ, mag, whatever. I mean, just I kind of went down the line, and man, nothing sounded like the 8200 hardware. And the thing is that when I did mix 1.1, and I originally sent it to him, I thought, I don't want to be mixing with that hardware. Like I really want to mix in the box, right? I don't want to get messed up with this dang thing because I just didn't want to. Maybe lazy, maybe whatever. So I ended up going back to 1.1 and writing down the settings, and it was nothing crazy. Here's the settings. Let me get that out of here. So red is like between 2.2, I guess 200, 400. There's a little shelf, minus 3, and then a -1 Q at 8, at 800, and then nothing on the green, and then a +3 at 6 K with a Q at noon, and a +3 at 16 with a shelf, and so I was able to replicate that to a certain degree with a bunch of the plugins. I tried the Curve Bender and like Massive, all of them, and the GML was better, and he liked it. So it was like there was something about just the sound of the snare. I don't know how to explain it. It had like a more sound of like something iron or something, but. So anyway, I went back to it, and that's what's on here now. I'll play a second of it. This is with the GML.
Come and watch it go. I live the high, step low.
And the other thing too, there's a little bit of grit in this mix, but I a lot of those mixes are like that. So I just, as I heard the grit, I was like starting to like back things down. And I thought, you know what, let me leave it a little bit in there. It's not normally my thing, but yeah. So anyway, but that was it. So that's back with the 8200 hardware on. And then what I did, because what I had done on mix 1.2 was I was messing with some Widener plugins, and I had gotten Vitalizer, a demo of Vitalizer from Universal UAD, and then I also have the BX Digital V2, and then I also got the Plugin Alliance version of V3, and I think ultimately I was on V2. V3 is nice sounding, but there's something like harder sounding about V2, and like the hi-hats literally sound thicker, and that's what I noticed about some of the EQing, like some of the plug-in EQs were almost like too pretty or something. The top end was like almost pasty. I don't know how to explain it, but like the BX V2 has got a little bit more in the, so you can really hear it like on the hi-hat and kind of that thing. But then the GML has that. Yeah, the GML just has that, so it gives it more. It's like there's some weight to it. All right, so, and then the other thing I did, so I've got my chain, and at the end of the chain, so in my travels of experimenting with some widening things, a number of people said, "Oh, you should check out Ozone Imager," and I looked, and I was like, I had it. I have Isotope from years ago. And to be honest with you, I don't think I use anything from my Isotope, but it's here, and I knew it was here. And it showed that I had Imager, but it wouldn't work. It kept saying it wanted me to update to Imager 2, and then every time I updated and I went to instantiate the plugin, it wanted me to verify the license or authorize, and then it wouldn't authorize. It kept saying serial number was bad. Anyway, I got onto the Isotope website and chatted, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a different serial number." So I got the new serial number and went through. And the reason I say this is because those guys at Isotope are on it. Well, so I tried all these different imagers, and I like the way this sounds. So this is the Ozone Imager 2. Just a little bit. It's hard. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's you can hear it when it flattens. So the way I have this is now I have a limiter on here. This is like, you could release this. Right, you could release the level of this. It's a little hot, but you could release this thing. But I would obviously take that off to send it to a masterer. And the thing too is, like, so you see the level here, like this level, you can see it. I'll mute this so you don't hear it. But here's the level of the print.
Let's go inside. I think the morning after.
That's a little hot. So if you're on forums, and they'll say, "Oh, leave this for the masterer," but I will tell you, I did 2 mix with the masters, and the consensus from all these guys is don't give the masterer too much room. So I'll leave it at that. They say I give that guy 1 or 2 dB, and that's it, because they don't want him, getting too jiggy with their mix. And obviously they can gain stage it and do whatever they want. But yeah, that's yeah. So anyway, just my opinion. But that's and so here I'll play a little bit of it, and then I'll take Imager off. We'll go from second verse. So here's a little with the Imager.
See me come and watch it go. I live the high, fell below. Came to play, stay to leave. I shattered flat.
And you know, a couple people said, "Oh, well, be careful putting it at the end of the chain." And I get that. It didn't seem to really impart the little bit of grit that's in this mix is in the mix. It doesn't really. Good Lord, I'm getting blown up here. Visit details about incidents in your area. No, I don't want to hear about that. Oh my God. Whoa, give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Hey guys, if you're signed up for sure. Okay, so but the mix 1.1 that he liked had an Imager after the Pro L. So I'm like, well, let me rebuild this thing so that we want him to be happy and have a jumping off point. And the thing I didn't notice is that, it seems logical, but I don't know, maybe or maybe not. If you put the Imager before the final limiter, the Imager doesn't work nearly as much because I guess I don't know why. We'll learn, but anyway, that's just been my experience. It sounds better like this after, which in theory it's getting hit with like -8, but it seems to handle it. Because when I take it off, there's no, like, it's not gaining too much or anything. It's just, I don't know, it seems to handle it. So here it is. We'll put it on the hook.
Let's go inside. I think you the morning after. Let's go and let's ride the marvelous matters.
And you know, sometimes with these plugins, you don't know if it's because you're looking at it and all of a sudden it pops on and there's stuff and you're like, whoa, it sounds better. And if it's just like a placebo effect, I don't know, but I like it. So anyway, that's it. And that's with this stereo bass. There's no modulation on it right now. But anyway, yeah, and then, I mean, other than that, that's the main things I think it's, it's the setup now is working. It's good. All right, so a couple of things that did come up. Well, a couple things. So I on the last video, I had a little bit of funky with like Pro Tools and some stalling and, switching hardware buffer size. And in defense of Pro Tools, which who wants to defend Pro Tools, right? Is it called root tone? It's hard doing this. It's hard mixing with like everything you got like this at 88.2 and you're doing screen capture, because remember the screen capture is running, the computer's running on, the computer's running screen capture too. So it's a lot, but anyway, there you go. So the one thing I did, I took the Punch 10 out, the hardware. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just went here and put the root tone on there and I took it out. It was just one less thing. I don't know. I'm over it. To be totally honest with you, I'm over all right, so the 8200 I can handle, but I don't know. There's too much. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So I'm picking my battles, and I figure, the master bus chain, if the 8200 is going to really make a big difference, then yeah, I'll deal with it. So that's really the big difference. So 03 or 1.3 mix that I reassembled last night actually at like midnight. He loves it, and so we're good. So that means I got like approval. So I said, we'll sit on it for a day or so. Give me any little tweaks, and then what I'll do is I'll strip this down and I'll make a template out of this, and then I'll fly this into all the other 10 songs, and then, at least we've got kind of a jumping off point, because we've overcome, issues with de-essing on the vocals, or, wompiness in the toms, or whatever. It's all been kind of fixed. So once I fly this in, it could take you like 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes a song to fly it in, level it off, get it sounding decent, and then move to the next song. So, a good long day, you could have the whole record in the template, or with the template in the on the songs, all the songs, sorry about that, and have everything sounding decent, and then, go from there. So, whoa. So here's all right, so I'm going to put this one out there. And I'm not going to be experimenting anymore with this. But so this 8200 hardware really was, I liked it. It really, obviously it's a nice piece. The top end is very intense, so you just got to be careful. But, the GML EQ is, good Lord, how many records is that on? That's literally in every A room, probably in the world practically. I don't know now, there's maybe, people are using other things like curve benders or, massive passive. But, the GML 8200 was just absolutely, it was like having an 1176 or a 1073. It was just industry standard for things like background vocals, piano, bus EQ, stereo strings, or whatever. But so now that I got the approval with that, he's psyched about that, and then I try to make all these plugins work, and I couldn't really make it happen. I'm wondering if a bus compressor, a hardware bus compressor in that chain would be like a big enough difference to warrant it. Right now I'm using, that's the SSL bus compressor, and I really like that. That's the SSL native. That's actually solid state logic. And I have them all. I have the UAD, I have the Waves, I have the IK Multimedia, I have a couple of other ones. I've also got the 2500, and I've got that with Waves and with UAD. And I used to use the UAD one. Here, you know what I'll do? I'll throw it on here and fire it up. I should probably have done a save as, but I haven't touched this thing. I'm sorry. I'm really tired. Okay, so let's go here and we'll just put in, yeah, there you go. Okay. So, just to kind of hear it, levels may shift, but here's the 2500, the UAD. SSL, I'm going to go between them. So here's the SSL, and they're probably not set at all the same, but this is the setting I was using on the 2500.
See me come and watch it go. I live the high, fell below. Came to play, stay to leave. I shot it flat. I see me come and watch it go. I live the high, fell below. I see me come and watch it go. I live the high, fell below.
I personally like that SSL. I don't know. I just like the way that thing sounds. So maybe it won't matter. I don't know. I was, just kind of mulling that around. So if anybody's got any experience with it, yeah. And that's it. I'm selling some mic pre's. I've kind of simplified. I've got a pair of 1073s. This is the 500 series. And now I have a pair of API 512Cs. So I've, those are kind of like, I've got a pair of Neves, a pair of APIs, very cool. And then I also have a Neve 88R LB, the 500 series 88R, which compared to the 1073, it's a little more, it's more of the modern console. It's got a little bit more smiley face. It's really nice on vocals, man. It's really nice on vocals. It's got a little more booty, a little bit more like kind of, I don't know, it's not as focused. It's more like this. And then I've also still got a Vintech Neve, which sounds really nice too. A little different than the actual Neves. But so that's basically what I have, six preamps. A pair of 1073s, a pair of 512s, this 88R and a Vintech. And that's honestly all I need because, and I mean, I kind of don't even need that much in a weird way, but it is nice to have some variety because, like, I'm doing a lot of country and sometimes, like with acoustic guitar, like, I really want to, like, maybe have more of, like, an API thing. It's not as, I don't know, it's like more, it's a little bit more snappy and brighter than a Neve. So we'll see. But that gives us some variety. That's it. So, yeah, so there's kind of where I'm at with all this. The other thing I was going to say earlier that I forgot, I started to say it. A couple of my plugins started making noise, and I mean noise. Like I had opened up a mix and I didn't hit play, but I had the volume up and it was like loud. And I'm like, wait a second, that's really weird. And I muted things and I hunted it down, and it was my H delay. Like it was like it would be like, shh, and then when and then it like was gone. And I'm like, and then I reinstantiated, re-put it on. I don't know if my H delay has just crapped out, but got rid of it. The other thing was my, where is it? AMS. Oh, right. This is still on his. Right, because we haven't changed this. But the AMS was weird on his on the mix template because the AMS was making noise, so I switched it to the here, let me put this up here. There's been a couple of weird things that have been happening. I switched this to the Slate Verb Suite. Oh, where am I? And this is a cool reverb. It's kind of surreal. Lugo gated snare, so we'll put that there instead. But yeah, that was it. That was kind of what was going on. I was getting a lot of noise. Yeah, and the H delay, I switched it out for just an Echo Boy. And I'm going to do this on his mix because I don't even want to be dealing with this. I think I had it about here, studio tape, just generic, and set this to quarters. Yeah. Just save settings, call it Lugo, Mono, Echo, fourth. Right? Yeah, because I don't know why it doesn't seem to be bothering me here, but I don't want to even mess with it. And there's your other H delay. All right. So if you see I'm squirming around in my chair, it's because I got to go to the bathroom. All right. Close enough for rock and roll. All right, kids. Peace.